You can find more episodes of this and many other podcasts at abruptaudio.com. Subscribe today to get the next episode automatically.
Coming up on this week's Pix3l podcast, Android N details, 5 things to expect at Apple's March event, Microsoft shut down Lionhead Studios, could children be the cybersecurity's weakest link thanks to Minecraft?
You're listening to the Pix3l podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Pix3l podcast episode 6. I should just say before we get into things, you can find us on the podcast app on the iTunes store. For you Android users, you can also find us on the Stitcher app on there by searching Pix3l, Pix3l, and also you can go to the Abrupt Audio website, abruptaudio.com/Pix3l. And as always, I'm joined by my 2 co-hosts, Martin.
Hello.
And Ben.
Hello.
And with that, let's get into the weekly catch-up topics.
The past, the present and the future walked into a bar. It was tense. You're listening to the Pix3l podcast.
And our first topic comes from Quantum Break. Yes, we talked about it last week, but now a bit more controversial news. It requires an internet connection for streaming cutscenes on the PC. The idea of requiring an internet connection for single-player gaming has been controversial for Microsoft in the past, so it's a bit surprising that Microsoft will require players to have a high-speed internet connection to enjoy cutscenes in the story-heavy Quantum Break when it launches on Windows 10 next month. The Xbox One version will also be available as a full download ahead of time for those who don't want to stream. At least there's a technical excuse for the requirements this time, beyond some sort of privacy-limiting security check, as narrative designer Greg Loudon told Game Informer at a recent event, the variety of branching live-action episodes played after each act of the game are too large to fit on a disc or work as a hard drive download. Now, this is obviously a little bit controversial after last week's Quantum Break news and the fact that it's not an Xbox One exclusive. But what are you guys thinking of this? It's not going well for Microsoft at the minute.
It's really not, and it does feel like a little bit of a complete U-turn from the whole new change that Microsoft's supposed to be going through from what we saw at the start of the Xbox One. Now, yeah, like we said, we all knew we had this locking, constant online checking for the Xbox One, which was going to be the doom of everything for Microsoft, and it completely ruined, arguably, their Xbox One launch. So they came out a bit late and going, look, we're changing all these things. You know, we're a different company now. We've got different people in charge. We're making better decisions. And this is a little bit concerning, even if they're sort of mentioning the fact of stuff being online. I mean, is this going to be a trend for other games? We bloody damn hope not. All I'm going to say is that, yes, there's 40 different variations of the show. And there's a lot of options, and that is great for the gamer. That is a really good thing. It's going to really maximize that replayability. However, why can't they just pick a handful of the best ones and allow them to be downloaded with the rest of the game, just in case, I don't know, you're traveling and want to play on like a gaming laptop, maybe your internet's died. You know, not everyone has internet that's on all the time. It's the same arguments that we had, you know, a little while ago, the exact same arguments. And to be honest with you, I'm just getting a bit tired of it. Look, put some stuff on the thing. If you can do it for Xbox One, why can't you do it for PC? What is the big difference here? I mean, generally, people who are into gaming on their PC have the capacity generally, or are prepared that games take up big spaces. GTA 5 takes up an enormous amount of space on the PC. People are completely aware that this is the case. And honestly, I think there's more flexibility you got in terms of storage space on the PC than you have on something like an Xbox One. So the argument doesn't even make complete sense. Martin, how do you feel?
It reminds me of when Xbox One first came out. You needed internet connection, if I remember rightly. And a lot of people got upset about that. And I feel like they've gone back to their roots here with this game. It feels you need to have internet. And I don't understand. Like Ben said, not everyone has internet. Not everyone has access to even good internet, especially where you're from. You said that now and then it conks out. And even back at my hometown, we don't have very good internet. So games like this, I couldn't even play. And I couldn't even fathom why they've done this. They've sort of just shot themselves in the foot. And a lot of backlash will come from this. I don't know what they're really thinking in that studio.
I mean, honestly, like, there's a few things that I've taken from this. One, the game itself, it seems like it's going to be groundbreaking in the sense that it's so visually pleasing and it's such a story-heavy based game. But honestly, they should have said this they must have known this a long time ago, not so close to release. They should have told people this ages ago, and they should have said that this is going to be the case. It's like they don't. I don't know why they feel like, especially with PC, that people can't like handle this, especially when it's a single player game. It's not a game that people are going to have on their PC for a long time. All they're going to do, they're going to download the game, they're going to play the game, and then they're going to uninstall it. That's how things work on PC gaming, especially with single player games. If it's a multiplayer game, you're going to keep it on there for a while. But for a single player game, once you've played it a couple of times, if there's like multiple storylines, you want to play it a couple of times, that's fine. But I don't know why they're not giving people the option to download them if they can. Like I just don't get it.
Edson, I agree with you, and not to ramble on this too much further, but to be honest with you, I'm more just disappointed, and I think a lot of PC gamers will just be disappointed that a game which I think could be a fantastic game. I first saw some live gameplay in person 2 Eurogames ago. They sat in a room and we were shown what the game had to offer, and I was blown away. And especially the developers seemed really passionate about it, talking about what they managed to achieve in that game is a real feat. And I think that maybe either they've been too ambitious and Microsoft are trying to have to find a way to make this work, or Microsoft have been trying to make the game meet up to the expectation and just gone overboard with it. Something's happened somewhere which has left them in this situation where they've had no option but to kind of go down this route. But I think this could have been saved a lot earlier, and it's a shame. I hope this isn't a bad sign for the game when it launches. Hopefully some further silly mistakes aren't made between now and the launch. I hope it is a good game. Like I said, I've seen some really nice things about it generally, so I guess we're going to have to wait and see, but hopefully nothing else comes out about the game between now and launch. So our second topic is all to do with Android N, and I have for you a rough list of things which is already better in Android N than we saw in Marshmallow. Now, I do want to start off by saying that I'm a little bit surprised that Android N is already kind of in the works, or let's say out there for developers to use. If you guys remember, it's been less than a year since Marshmallow was announced. Literally, May last year was when it was announced. So we are under a year. And for a platform which is already fairly fragmented, this is a little bit worrying, although there are some cool features. So let's go through them. The first one is split screen. It showed up in a preview for Marshmallow, but it was never actually on the final version. So here we are, split screen. You can have an app, either landscape or portrait, and have them split between the screen and basically do what's considered proper multitasking, which is quite cool. Notifications are far more powerful. You can actually reply to notifications in the notification drawer. You don't have to click on them and be taken to the app. You can also then, once you've replied to them, keep the notification there for further reminder later. You've got better tweakable UI settings. You can go into more detail, and actually on some of the options, especially in the notification drawer, you can actually see, rather than just the Wi-Fi symbol, you can see what Wi-Fi network you're connected to and what Bluetooth stuff you're connected to, rather than, like I said, just the icons. There is now a night mode, which gives you a better outlook of the UI. It makes it a bit more tuned for the dark. Some people like using night mode all the time. There are various tweaks for websites, such as YouTube and Twitch, which lets you do this. There's better DPI scaling. So if you are someone who's hard of sight and you want something to be a lot bigger, there's much better tweaking and things like that. And the things that we've seen on iOS before, such as emergency information. When someone tries to use your phone when it's locked, they can now hit the emergency button at the bottom, which provides a dialer for calling 911, 999 in the UK, or another emergency contact. This is nice to see, and there are other loads of other stuff, including things like Alt-Tab is now a thing in Android for quick app switching, and there is a built-in power user again. So, Edson, some nice new features here. Do you agree maybe that they're rushing the next one out a bit too soon?
I mean, yeah, honestly, they are. But as you were saying, like, there's how many more of these features? Because you said at the start, like, split screen is one that was showed in Marshmallow. Like, were many of these other features shown in Marshmallow?
There is a couple that have been rumored to come in before and that have been demoed before but never shown. So almost, I would say that maybe N is what Marshmallow should have been, and this is why Android are sort of rushing out, wanting us to forget Marshmallow quite quickly, because it wasn't successful for them.
It may have not have been successful, but why not? There's many things that haven't been successful, but why not, like, take all of these features and add it to, can't they still brand this as Marshmallow but have it as like the next version of it, like an update, and essentially replace Marshmallow?
Almost like Windows 8.1 or something
exactly
like that.
Like there's many examples. Like, obviously that's a perfect example. Like Windows 8, so bad for so many people, in one of the most hated like in recent years, and then they come out with Windows 8.1 and it seems to fix and win back a lot of people. Why don't they acknowledge that they've done not wrong, but like there's not many people that like Marshmallow, I don't think. So it's like, I don't know why they don't, I don't know, make this as point one or Marshmallow 0.2 or whatever, like whatever you call it. But I don't know why they don't have this as an update rather than a brand new system.
You sort of answered your own question there, Edson. You said, I don't know why, but you said not many people liked Marshmallow, and I think they need to rebrand it, rename it, and I think that's why it's not going to be an add-on, and it's definitely like what we've just said. N is going to be what Marshmallow should have been, and we've all been there. We've all had our faults with Marshmallow if you're an Android user, and I feel like having an N, it's a new lease of life. It's a way to say, yeah, this is an update, but cheekily say it's something new and spontaneous and something different. And I feel like it's not too early. I think they've cut their losses and thought, we need to get something better out there, because other consumers and other like products are going to overtake them. They need to keep developing, and I think this is definitely what Marshmallow should have been.
But honestly, okay, like you can say that, but the whole, like, I don't get why companies don't acknowledge that they were wrong. Why they make something new and then just like bring that out because they know they were wrong. Like I have a big problem with companies that don't acknowledge stuff like that. Like if you've done something wrong, if people aren't enjoying your product or anything like that, and you need to update, you need to change something, acknowledge it. That's the biggest thing for me. If a company can acknowledge that they've done wrong and publicly say it, that is so big for me. And I don't, like, honestly, if they did that and then they brand, like, even if they did that and then they said, oh, we're going to bring this out, this is what we're branding it as N, that would have been a bigger thing for me. Like, but it's the fact that they're not acknowledging what they did wrong and they're just bringing out something new, trying to fix it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Edson, in a lot of ways. And for me also, it's that I think Android really does need to look at itself in a lot of ways, especially in the way it brings out versions and the way those versions gets to the general public that own Android phones. I think there is such a big fragmentation. There are people who are on several older versions of Android which will never be able to see the later versions, which I think personally, coming from an iOS platform where, you know, even iPhone 4S's, you know, to this day, or 5s or whatever, still get the latest updates, I think it's a little bit concerned. And, you know, there was a security post a while ago by experts saying how really unsecure Android is, only in terms of the fact that people aren't getting these latest security updates. So I feel like N is basically making the problem a little bit worse, whereas I think Android and Google as a whole need to really talk with all these other companies such as Samsung in ways that they can sort of make a platform which is better for everyone in terms of getting the latest features, but more importantly getting the latest security updates as well. But we'll welcome N in the sense that there are features there that people have always wanted, and we'll have to see how things pan out. We're just in the developer previews at the moment, people testing out on their redundant phones to see if it's any good. But we'll see when it comes to launch just what features that we don't know about yet will be in the latest version.
Okay, our next topic is Six Flags Entertainment Corporation and Samsung Electronics America recently announced a partnership to launch the first VR roller coaster, which names Samsung as the first official technology partner of the world's largest regional theme park company. The partnership will showcase the debut of the groundbreaking experiences coming to 9 Six Flags theme park, North America's first virtual reality, VR for short, roller coaster using Samsung Gear VR powered by Oculus. The Samsung VR roller coaster was recently shown at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. So what does this all mean for the experience? Well, visitors will still physically go on a moving roller coaster, but the VR headset provides a hyper reality. For example, riders may be teleported to a future and into other situations. John Duffy, Six Flags president and CEO, has this to say: "It's remarkable technology, is a definite game changer for theme park riders and everything our brand stands for, delivering the most thrilling and innovative riders and attractions. The partnership is a strange one in my thought. However, it's great and it is groundbreaking for VR technology. Who knows where this might step up? However, the person who wrote this article that I'm reading off is Kate Lawrence. She said her experiences were slightly blurry due to wearing her glasses, but without them she couldn't see anything at all. So maybe adding a lens to the situation might improve the VR, but I'm going to throw this over to Ben. Ben, what do you think of the VR roller coasters?
To be honest with you, I do believe it's a bit of a gimmick. At first, I honestly didn't think they were actually going on a physical roller coaster. So to understand they're on a physical roller coaster at least makes it a tiny bit better. But I do think that they could have really have gone all out and have made a proper VR experience powered by a mini PC, maybe done something with Intel and really gone out there and done something new and exciting. And I feel this just isn't that exciting. It really doesn't say much to me. It doesn't make me want to go, if there was one that's in the UK, it would just make me actually want to go and experience this. You know that if it's powered by a phone, the graphics can be very limited. For me, it is almost a deal breaker straight away. I mean, if I'm looking at something that's pretty pixelated and it looks like I'm, in a video game in the 90s, I don't know if I really want to sort of be in that sort of experience. Also, the questions for me is the motion sickness. I feel like people, even the tiniest bits of set of motion sickness, might get a bit sick on this sort of thing. I think VR generally can be fairly motion sick enduring without being on a roller coaster at the same time. So it would be interesting to see that. I think the graphics, like I said, I think that's a big off-put for me. I think it really is just a stunt for Samsung to sell their phones and their VR headsets and all those sort of stuff. But if they had maybe little small PCs that they'd mounted under the seats and maybe channeled it up to the glasses, I think that'd be absolutely amazing. I would love to see that. I think another company can really top this and make a far better VR roller coaster, or a VR sort of a theme park experience. Doesn't necessarily have to be a typical roller coaster. It could be something indoors, that goes through these different worlds and things like that. That would be really cool. Or even when you've been on these 4D experiences where the seats sort of move and things like that, but actually you're not going anywhere. I think that would work brilliantly with VR, especially if everyone's got the same sort of experience where they've been taken around somewhere and you can smell all these different things to really back up the VR experience and the things moving and things like that. I think that personally that would be an amazing experience rather than just a roller coaster with a gimmick attached to it. That's how I see it anyway.
I mean, honestly, VR for me, it's not something that I've ever been too interested in. I've followed it a little bit. It's not been something that I've been so keeping up with a lot. But this is something that could turn out to be good. The VR experience in sort of amusement parks, in theme parks and stuff like that, I can see that working. I don't see it working for in this instant. This doesn't seem. Like Ben says, it seems a little bit of a gimmick, but I honestly think that this whole thing could be the first step in a longer road for VR in theme parks, in sort of entertainment and stuff like that. A lot more than just what it seems like VR has been pushed in at the minute, which is just gaming.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's more for VR to be had. Like I said, I think there is a really cool experience to be had in the theme park world with it. And I think that something new and innovative needs to be created to go alongside it, rather than going, here's a roller coaster, here's a VR headset, smack them together, this is a new experience. I think, honestly, companies need to get a bit more creative in order to really capture the attention and the imagination of the general public. So I'd be interested to see a company that wants to rival Six Flags and come up with something better. And I think there will be, especially when you talk about the giants such as Disney
100%,
and the things that they can do with their parks and stuff. I think they'll come up with something that will blow the socks off Six Flags. So it's about this time of year that we expect Apple to come out with some new announcements, and they are living up to expectation by announcing their latest event called the Special Event. Now, anyone who has been paying any attention to the Apple world recently have known of the iPhone SE, a smaller, very much like the iPhone 5 size device, which is heavily rumored to be announced by Apple with just the latest specs updated in it. This is call back to the people who still actually do prefer the smaller iPhones of yesteryear and would like something with a bit more kick inside. Now, this could just be, a coincidence that, it's the iPhone SE that's rumoured and they've called the event SE for special event rather than special edition. But, this is one of the things that we might expect to see at the event. The event is happening on Monday, March the 21st, and there are a few things more that is expected to be announced rather than just an iPhone. We are expected to get a smaller version of the iPad Pro, which some people would argue would just be a normal iPad. However, the thing that makes the iPad Pro special is the specs inside. We're expecting to get a device which has the same sort of specs as the iPad Pro, but just a little bit more easier to travel with you, as the iPad Pro is a little bit unwieldy, to say the best. We're also expected to get some new Apple Watch bands, as 9to5Mac reports that Apple's plans to show new color options and potential bands made of new materials or in a partnership with additional high fashion brands, as it did with Hermes. One possible inclusion, a black version of the Milanese loop to match the space black watch. So this is all definitely possible, but not too exciting. And there is also rumours of possibly talks about the new iOS update and what we'll see in that. It doesn't normally look like the time of year that Apple would announce something like this, but you never know. There might be a major update. Apple don't always play to the rules with things, so it'd be cool to see what they can bring with that. And also, I think it would be very fitting for them to make at least some talk about that whole encryption talk, maybe make some digs towards the FBI. Apple do like to make digs at other companies and other organizations during their press talks. So a talk about the encryption talk might be something that we'll see. And finally, we probably won't see anything to do with MacBooks or OS X. They usually do a separate talk later on in the year to do with everything Mac related. There have been some rumors about what the next iPhone's going to look like and things like that. I don't expect them to talk about this. I think it's just going to be a few iterations, maybe a couple of little announcements, but nothing too great I'm expecting from the event. Edson, do you agree with me?
Yeah, nothing too, like you say, it's later on in the year when we hear about the bigger features, about the Macs, about the MacBooks, about the actual, what the new iPhone's going to be. So it's a little bit, there's a few interesting things here. Like I am kind of interested in a few of these things. But over recent years, I have been slowly falling out of love with Apple. And I did enjoy some of their products, and me being a graphic designer, I still do use their products. But it's I don't know, it's not really grabbing me too much. Like the special edition that's rumored, the special edition iPhone. It may be something that may bring a few people back to the brand, because like you say, over recent years, the iPhone's just been getting bigger and bigger. And there are a lot of people that I feel like it's weird, because the phone industry in general just goes from we have these big phones, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they get smaller and smaller and smaller, and then they just go back through that trend straight away. They go straight back to big again, straight back to small, straight back to big, straight back to small. So it's I don't know, and there are people that always prefer their smaller phones, and there are people that always prefer the bigger phones, and the people that have preferred the smaller phones haven't really had many phones that they've liked from Apple in recent years, because it's just been getting bigger and bigger.
So I think there isn't going to be massive announcements at the iPhone or Apple general event. Some iterations, some updates. I would like to hear some stuff from iOS personally to see where they're going with that next. I think it has got a little bit stale recently. There hasn't been too many big announcements in that. I'd like to see them completely throw something at the ballpark, come with something that we never would expect. However, I kind of see that not happening. That's more me wishful thinking.
That ain't going to happen.
Wishful thinking, but we never know. We'll update you, of course, when they do announce stuff at the event, which is taking place on March the 21st.
And our final topic comes from Microsoft. Now, this is very, very, very controversial. Lionhead Studios, the creators of Fable Legends, has shut down, along with Danish Pix3l Studios, which is the makers of Max, The Curse of the Brotherhood. Microsoft is to close Lionhead Studios, having already made the decision to cancel development of Fable Legends. Microsoft Studios Europe General Manager Hamo Lemke has announced, after much consideration, we've decided to cease development of Fable Legends and are in discussions with employees about the proposed closure of Lionhead Studios in the UK, stated Lemke in a post on Xbox Wire. Microsoft will obviously also shut down Pix3l Studios in Denmark and cease development of Project Knoxville. The Danish studio is best known for Max, Curse of the Brotherhood. These have been tough decisions, and we have not made them lightly, nor are they a reflection on those development teams. We are incredibly fortunate to have the talent, creativity and commitment of the people at these studios, added Lemke. The Lionhead Studios team has delighted millions of fans with the Fable series over the past decade. Pix3l imbued the industry with a unique creative spirit behind the games like Max, The Curse of the Brotherhood and Kalimba, which both captured passionate fans. These changes are taking effect as Microsoft Studios continues to focus its investments and development on the games and franchises that fans find most exciting and want to play. Now, this is not where this story ends. PlayStation have come out and they are holding a recruitment event in Guildford, which is where Lionhead Studios is based in the UK, on Monday, the 14th of March. Now, this is obviously something that they've decided to do. We see this a lot. A few companies in the past have shut down. A few game development companies have had funding from various like ways, and they've ceased funding, and they've had to essentially shut down and close these companies. And we've seen other companies pick those people up, and it's a good PR move for them. Obviously, PlayStation are jumping on the bandwagon here, but there is a lot more to this than people may understand. It's like, because to me, I don't know, Microsoft is. I feel like they're focusing more on the things that they shouldn't be focusing on when they've got a company or a game development team that has created one of their most successful franchises in recent years, so close to the release of the next game, Fable Legends, which was extremely hyped. It was meant to be the game that basically brought the series back to life. They're so close to the release, they ceased funding, they stopped development for the game is now cancelled. And they've not only annoyed so many fans, they've lost a full development team, a development team that were held in such high respect from the rest of the game industry. It's honestly a shocking move, and PlayStation have done good. They've jumped on the PR move. What are you guys thinking of this?
I think this is a really good example of the way Microsoft had a really bad PR time with the letting go of Lionhead, and PlayStation have benefited massively from it. You know, it was quick thinking from PlayStation to go, look, we can get some really good props out of this, from really good PR out of this, and let's post a recruitment event. It won't take us much to do it. You know, Guildford is a very big area for games development, so it's easy for PlayStation to be able to set something up there. They have their own studios there as well, and you know, not only are they going to give people who are out of a job a chance to have a job again, which is fantastic, and I massively applaud them for that, they're also at the same time getting a big thumbs up from everyone in the games industry and the players themselves who were probably very saddened by the news of one of their favourite franchises being basically pulled the plug from, taking the rug away from under their feet by Microsoft. And I think it's going to be fairly likely that PlayStation will create, with the guys they've recruited, a very similar game to Fable, and I think it's very, very possible that's going to happen. So yeah, yet again, I mean, like we've said earlier in the podcast, it almost seems that Microsoft is going back to their old bad PR ways, which is not great at all. And PlayStation seem to be made out as the as the nice people, the nice guys, and it's proven to be very successful for them before, and I think it's going to be successful for them again. So I wish the best to the people that get recruited, and obviously as of recording this, the session hasn't happened, but when the podcast goes out, the session has happened. So when you're listening to this, hopefully it's gone well. If we do have an update on the next podcast, we'll of course keep that updated. I know quite a few people who work in the games industry, and I know it can be really tough to make a mark in there. So I'm sure it's going to be very, very appreciated that PlayStation are putting a friendly hand out to help those guys who all of a sudden lost their job after working very hard on a game for a very long time. I think Microsoft have lost quite a few fans and and the respect generally of the industry as well, from last minute just pulling the rug under their feet for no reason, especially for a game company that has been by their side for such a long time.
Okay, I'm going to put my neck out here, and I'd say I do love Fable. I fell in love with the third one, and I went back to play them all. However, let's face it, Fable Legends, for me, it just wasn't the Fable that I fell in love with. And also, I think it was Fable Journey. It was terrible. You had to use the Kinect. It had very so-so reviews. And I feel like Microsoft realised that with Legends added on, it wasn't what people wanted. It wasn't, for me, it wasn't what I wanted. And a lot of my friends back home said it wasn't what they wanted. And I feel like they sort of felt, we're going to cut our losses here. I will say, it is sad to hear that Lionhead Studios have gone from Microsoft partnership, but I'm glad that PlayStation are picking them up, and hopefully they'll produce better content, and that's the best way I can put it, because I just wasn't impressed with the last two games they've produced.
So obviously, like I need to touch up on that a little bit. You saw with the companies that Microsoft do sort of throw quite a bit of funding into, like Lionhead, when the Kinect got announced, when they were pushing all of these new features on the Xbox, they tried to. You saw it in all of the companies that they were actually heavily invested in. That suddenly that's what their games were going to have, and it felt like that. I don't know. Microsoft were pushing that on them. Yeah, so it's honestly not. I don't think that it's the choice of Fable. I think given the actual choice, I honestly think they wouldn't have done that. And you saw obviously with the Fable Legend, the Fable Anniversary, the remake. You've seen obviously with Fable Legends. I think that was going to go, I don't know, a little bit more back to the old ways of Fable. And I honestly think like if Sony, like the best thing that Sony could do here is pick up the majority of this team, because in recent years, that style of game, what the old Fable used to be, they've never really had that on the PlayStation. The ports for games like Fallout and Oblivion have been horrendous on the PlayStation compared to the Xbox, even though obviously it's more of a PC game. They've been horrendous on the PlayStation. So the PlayStation community have never really had a game like this. So the best thing they can do is pick up a mass amount of these people that are now looking for jobs and say, look, what do you guys want to create? We need a game like Fable, that sort of like experience. Get to it. And I honestly think like it's going to be interesting to see in the next couple of years what comes from this, where they go to, and what sort of Sony do with these. I really hope they pick a majority of these people up, and I really hope that this is something that will really help PlayStation in the future. And if any of you guys do want to check out more on these topics, you can check out the notes on the Abrupt Audio website, abruptaudio.com/pixel. And with that ends our weekly catch-up.
To continue listening to the podcast, enter any 11-digit prime number after the beep. Beep.
Okay, so our main topic is a bit of an interesting one. It was an article I stumbled across on bbc.co.uk all about how kids could be the gateway for malicious extras, as called in the article. And obviously, if you're going to target kids, you're going to have to target one of the most popular things kids do on PCs these days, and that's play Minecraft. Could your children be your weak link when it comes to home security? One of mine almost was, thanks to Minecraft. Now, this is the guy that wrote the article. He's saying that one of his boys wanted to install a mod for it and needed his dad to approve it. And as he's paranoid about what runs on the main computer, he oversaw the whole process. At first, it looked fine. There are thousands of mods and add-ons, as we all know from Microsoft, that make a variety of changes to the game. Some add new blocks, others change the way it looks, and some turn it into an entirely different game. The one that the kid wanted to install was quite hard to find, despite it being popular amongst friends. When he found it, the website that it was on was a little bit short, and the dad was a bit wary that the person that they were actually getting the mod from was the person who actually created it. And he was suspicious the site was festooned with buttons that looked like they would start the download, but instead led to dead ends, particularly by links to download accelerators and other utilities that wasn't wanted. Grubby ads blinked alongside, and he's not sure about mature Russian women that are keen to meet his 12-year-old son. And I think this is a bit of an interesting article, which is why I wanted to bring it up as our main discussion point. Minecraft is a game very popular by kids, and obviously the modding community is massive with that, so the kids are going to want to download mod. And I think anyone who's been around the internet downloading stuff knows that a lot of these download sites are filled with ways to guide you away from actually getting what you want and taking you to ads and downloading other software that maybe is even named the thing that you're looking for, but if you're not very well tuned into the way things work, you might end up installing some crap onto your computer, and even worse, risking your whole security. So I think it is a bit of a worry, considering that Minecraft on PC hasn't got a store, a safe place for kids to get hold of these sort of things. And maybe this is a sign that there should be a call for a central place which is ran by Microsoft, the new owners of Minecraft, that means that these young kids can install things safely on the computer, and the parents don't have to worry that their kids not only downloading things that are inappropriate for the computer, but also these ads a lot of the time on these download sites are far from appropriate for kids of a younger age. Like you said there, the whole Russian women thing. You don't want your 8-year-old kid to be seeing that. But does this bring up a different argument that really, the kids shouldn't be installing things without the parents doing it for them instead? Or do we just need a safer place for kids to do this sort of thing? Guys, what do you think?
Now, honestly, this is something that's definitely very apparent with me, that because I'm very heavily invested in Minecraft, in the sort of like the online space of this. The thing that I'm a little bit shocked about in this is that, now, obviously, like, we can talk about the whole Minecraft modding API. This is something that has been talked about for many, many years. It's been hinted at by Mojang and by many people that work at that company, that a modding API is something they've always wanted, but it's one of the most difficult things that they can do because of the nature of the game, because of how it's made, how it was coded, how it was created. It's something that, honestly, they need to pretty much completely rewrite the game, and they are working on that. They've been working on that for the past couple of years. But since, obviously, because modding is such a big thing in Minecraft, there's been a lot of like a lot of external like modding APIs, like Forge, like these other things, and I'm a little bit shocked at how they managed to get on these websites, because I've used Forge, I've used these websites, and there's probably like 5 or 6 very trusted websites that are always the top if you're searching for a mod. There's always every mod in Minecraft, if it's been downloaded by a few people, it's on one of these like top websites. And if you go on those websites, they are like proper. There's no way that you can accidentally download something you shouldn't. I would say there's about 5 or 6 ways to get any of the big mods, any of the big things or plugins or client, like, I don't know, changes or anything like that. There's many websites where you can get these things, and they're all trusted. They're all very good. So I'm a little bit shocked that this person, I don't know what he was like. I'm interested to know what he was downloading, because I'd probably understand what he was downloading and where he was downloading it from. But I don't actually know. Like, I don't actually know how they managed to do this and how they managed to get on their website this weird. Like, I don't know. Like, I think this article's pretty much came from one person that's, I don't know, that's a little bit uneducated about the internet and is a little bit not understanding where they can get things from, because there's many ways where, especially like you say, because Minecraft is something that over the years, like, it's so big in kids, and it's so big in like kids wanting to like have the new things, have the mods, have the updates. I don't know how they've actually managed to do this. Like, it's just a little bit I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you in a lot of ways, but maybe this is a call for parents to be a bit more active and looking into these things and sort of, almost making it an activity that they do with their kids. I mean, Minecraft is accepted in a lot of communities now. It's accepted in schools. It's used everywhere. So I think it wouldn't take much, for a parent to be like, look, I'm letting you play Minecraft, but I want to be involved in this. If you want to download this mod, let's do it together. Let's find these websites, and let's look at them together. Yeah. And I think make it a bit more of a parent-child thing rather than often, which we see, which is quite sad, is that you get parents who they think it's too complicated to get involved. They'd rather just let their kid do it, and if something happens, then it happens, sort of thing, and just let their kids do whatever they want, sort of thing, which I think is a really bad practice. I mean, especially as we go further down the line, kids are getting more involved in technology and the internet and things like this. It's never going to go away. We aren't going anywhere. We're in the digital age. And I think it's about time that some parents especially should just get more involved and actually have these discussions with their kids and find these safe websites and maybe bookmark them and make it part of a thing where, the kids understands that if they use these websites, they're fine, but they shouldn't be searching elsewhere and vice versa. Martin, do you have anything to add?
Well, yeah, definitely. I have a few things to add. Firstly, onto Edson's thing where he said about... I would like to know where he got all of these ads and stuff. So would I. But it's also, with this article, it's always the big ones that, like, it targets people who aren't really tech savvy, should we say. And so it always goes, oh, God, I should go see what my son's doing or daughter if they're on Minecraft. Which I think, like we've already said, which you should sort of monitor. I feel like no matter what sort of your level of tech knowledge is, you should sort of monitor your child, because you never know what's going to happen and you never know what they're really doing. So I think it helps you understand the internet more, and you understand how these problems can be fixed, as well as how they happened, as well as it just goes without saying. Maybe with mods and stuff, maybe you add like a password or something so your child has to come to you straight away. He's just not doing it, or she's not doing it just willy-nilly. And also, I'd just say, just be smart with it. That's probably the underlying message that I have to say with it.
There are 3 kinds of people: those who can count and those who can't. You're listening to the Pix3l podcast.
So our second topic leading into verses is binge watching Netflix might make you miserable. So the next time you load up Netflix for a weekend of binge watching, think again, it could make you miserable. This is according to a new research from the University of Toledo, which describes binge watching as a growing public health concern that needs to be addressed. Well, I'm going to shoot on into verses with this week Edson and Ben battling it out. So, last week, Ben won, controversially, which was...
You're still going on about that.
Yeah, still a bit bitter. But obviously, you can battle for and against. So, which one would you prefer in this topic?
Now, I've got to think almost what's going to make Edson be in the sort of worst half of it. So
I think you're going to be surprised.
I'm going to say that binge watching Netflix makes you more miserable. So I'm going to go with a 4. Yeah, I'm going to go with 4. Okay, so I will go with heads. Why not?
It's tails.
I knew that was going to happen. I almost went tails as well. I was on the cusp of saying tails. Why did I?
Okay, Edson, as the challenger, you'll be going first. I'll count you down, and you have 30 seconds to give your argument.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so Netflix, obviously, it's when you binge watch, it's something that you normally do, and you do it by yourself, or you do it with a friend or something like that, and it's something that is not very good for your health. You sit there, you watch loads and loads of things, and with the Netflix coming up next in 10 seconds or something, it's very easy to get into, and you can waste your day, you can feel a little bit out of place, and it's not good for you. It's definitely not good for your health, and I don't think it's good for anyone that does do it.
I'm going to have to stop you there, Edson.
Oh, I don't think I did good there.
It does.
That was in recent weeks, I've not been too bad with it, but that was the one that
Yeah, I could see you were struggling, but I could see where you're going from.
Yeah.
But we're going to shoot straight over to Ben. Ben, you are against the statement. 3, 2, 1.
Putting the blame to something like Netflix is kind of like saying that, playing a violent video game makes you more violent. It's not how it works. If you stay indoors and do any activity, you will be more likely to be miserable. If you just stay indoors and lie in bed, if you're just playing video games all day, if you're knitting all day, just staying indoors with the curtain closed, you're going to be miserable. So at least with Netflix, you're getting some entertainment and there's some really funny shows and things like that, but anything in moderation is always going to be fine. So I think the argument saying Netflix makes you miserable just isn't really a thing, and vote for me.
And we're second to spare. Well done. Okay, well...
Vote for me.
Okay,
what is this?
I'm just going to quickly round it up what I got from each other's argument. With Ben's, obviously, he's just saying you should balance out your life and not just sit and lay about doing one activity, sort of go outside, enjoy. And with Edson's, I said, it's Netflix fault, which I got from it, saying with the counter timing down.
Yeah, it honestly is, yeah.
Yeah. See, I've got to put aside what I feel about Netflix, and I feel like reluctantly, I should say, because he's catching up, I'm going to go with Ben this week.
Yes!
So what's the scores now? Because I've completely lost out.
I've got 3, I believe.
I've got...
You must have 3.
3 now.
And I've got 1.
Yeah.
Ouch.
This is going to be really tense as well, because it's going to be me and Martin now. We're both tied. So I think next week's going to be an extremely interesting one. So anyone listening right now, you're going to want to listen next week, that's for sure.
Edson, I'll subscribe to your channel and watch your Twitch every day if you vote for me next week.
Ooh.
Just saying. Any
counter offer, Ben?
No, because I don't believe in that. I'm better than that.
All right. I know who's winning next week then. Okay.
Ben.
Caps Lock, preventing logging since 1980. Pix3l podcast.
All right, after Ben on his moral high ground, very much there, we're going to end this week's podcast. Hopefully everyone has enjoyed episode 6, and I should just quickly state before we finish, all the multiple ways you can watch this. You can go to the abruptaudio.com website, abruptaudio.com/Pix3l, Pix3l. You can also find us on the podcast app on the iTunes store, and you can also find us on the Stitcher app for you Android users. I've got to say a big thank you to Ben this week.
Hello and goodbye.
Hello and goodbye. And a big thank you to Martin this week.
Thank you and goodbye.
All right, you two, you're both saying weird things. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this week's podcast. If you have enjoyed this, please show it some love on any of the platforms that you are watching or listening. And yes, we'll see you next week for episode 7.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Pix3l podcast. Thank you and good night. Or as they say in gamer speak, GGNORE.
Seriously, Edson, I've known you for a long time, so if you don't vote for me, next time, then...
now it's coming out.
Yeah, well, now it's coming out.
Right.
I'm not going to talk about it on the podcast. Like, Jesus Christ, you gotta.
Edson, come on. I thought we were friends. We've been friends for years.
Edson. I'm just not happy because it's going to be one person's going to be on 4, one person's going to be on 3, and I'm still 2 behind
Edson, if you
the closest person next week.
The next week when me and
I'm
you
picking myself next
afterwards.
week. I don't care. I'm getting a point next week. You 2 aren't. I'm the one that's giving the point out. I'm giving it to myself.
You vote for me, and when it's me versus you, I'll sabotage myself so you can get some points, and then I can just keep picking for you.
We can.
Can I just say, if I'm not happy the way things work, I do edit the podcast. So just saying,
We'll talk later, Edson.
Yeah. It'd be instead of Martin would be like, and Ben.
Stop, Ben. No, this is true. Right. I'll edit for now on.
No.
Okay.
You want someone who actually can edit.
Oh.
Do it.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, shit. Nah, not having that. Nah, I'm gone. This.
Oh, God. Martin is literally just unplugged his headset and walked off.